spent time working on contemplative practices with students, and then you shifted to working on contemplative practice and social and emotional development with adults and with teachers in particular. And I want to hear more about that relationship between working with kids and working with adults, and the dialectic between those two.
Well, I came to the conclusion, and I mean, this isn't, I don't have any empirical support for this, but my strong belief is that the adult's presence itself, the contemplative presence of an adult in a classroom, is really more powerful than any technique that you would teach to a kid, especially younger kids. That doing anything with kids in a contemplative state, like bringing that mindset to a classroom, automatically transfers to kids. They are very attracted to that. So just being calm and quiet and sitting and being present with a group of kids and doing anything, giving a lesson, telling a story, can become a contemplative activity for kids. So I don't think you necessarily have to translate adult kinds of contemplative activities into child activities, although you can. I mean, obviously you can. However, I think kids have a natural tendency to be contemplative. I think there's a natural human tendency to be contemplative, and that kids love it, and they slip right into it. You can do something as simple as ring a bell that will vibrate for a while, and kids will just sit and listen to that. In the Montessori curriculum, there's a lot of activities where you show children how to do something. And it's almost like Zen tea ceremony or Zen flower arranging. It's doing something, but with a very specific way and with a certain kind of attitude that's contemplative. So I think contemplation can be embedded into other curricular activities, and that's what I think is ideal. Although there are programs that have specific contemplative activities for kids too. But you have to be really careful because children are in a developmental period where adult activities may not be appropriate for them. And you can't just take an adult contemplative activity and sort of, dumb it down for kids. So you have to really think about what the developmental needs are of kids. And I think kids today really do need quiet and peacefulness, and just the presence of a calm, caring adult is really valuable to them, and they love it. So helping teachers do that, I think, can make a big difference in education. But the reason why teachers have a hard time doing that is that the environment, the context of a classroom is incredibly emotionally exhausting when you think about it. Imagine yourself in a classroom with 25, maybe 30 kids, could be, 6, 7, 8, 9 years old. They may or may not have the skills to perform the way you want them to in that classroom for various reasons. They're coming to school with problems, their family's messed up, nobody's giving them the support they need. Maybe they didn't have breakfast. You're dealing with a lot of diversity with a lot of issues. So you've got these kids, and you've been mandated by the state of Virginia to get through this curriculum. And half of them aren't paying attention to you. And your principal could walk in any minute and, evaluate you at any time. And you can't leave. So your buttons are getting pushed, you're getting all agitated because they're not listening to you, they're not paying attention to you. You've got to get through your lesson. It's already 11. You haven't done anything. They're not listening. You can't leave. You can't even go to the bathroom. It's actually a setup. It's kind of the way you might want to torture somebody if you wanted to do that. It can be experienced as very torturous emotionally. And you're also supposed to be professional. You're not supposed to yell at these kids. You're not supposed to flip out. So when I learned about stress, I realized that is a setup for a cortisol spike. That's when your autonomic nervous system goes, I'm being threatened, and if you don't learn to reframe that situation or perceive it differently, you're going to have a hard time functioning. And what the other thing is, the more frustrated and anxious and irritated the adult becomes, the more the kids become that way, because kids respond to the adults in their environment. And if an adult is looking freaked out, it's going to freak them out. And depending on their issues, they're going to respond in various ways. If they're highly anxious, they may just shut down and go into a fear state of like, I can't learn anything here. So, or if they have a tendency to get aggressive or defiant, they're going to be like, they're going to have their fists up like, I better protect myself because this teacher is dangerous, And so you've got this dynamic in this classroom that is not conducive to learning at all. And everybody's stressed out. The teachers we've been working with in the research that I'm going to talk about later are working in these very tough environments in the South Bronx where the kids are really having a hard time. And everybody in the school is yelling all the time. And just being able to stop yelling has made a huge difference in some of these classrooms where the teacher just says to me, I don't have to yell anymore. So can you imagine spending your whole day yelling all day at kids? You might have a lot of health problems eventually. You also might decide that teaching isn't for me and quit.